So it didn't work out. They moved out. And then randomly, one of them finds me on Facebook in like, I don't know, 2012, 2013, something like that. I'm like, hey, it's so-and-so and so-and-so, right? And like, oh, yeah, hey, what's up? You guys my cousins? And like, no, I'm not your cousin. Like, I'm your brother.
Welcome back to the Swayside Connection podcast. And on this episode, who do I have here with us?
Hey, this is Ralph Feltis from Spanaway, man.
Spanaway. That's what's up. That's what's up. And do you have a drink?
Of course I have a drink. Anybody comes that doesn't have one, you're doing it wrong. So I have this kombucha here.
Kombucha. Nice.
Yeah. This is something specific at Costco. If you're a kombucha drinker, this is good stuff. You should definitely get this.
Nice. Is it flavored? What flavor?
Yeah, it's like guava passion fruit, which is not normally a flavor I mess with, but
yeah,
I mean, can't complain.
That's dope. And
cheers,
this is my first morning. Cheers. This is my first morning podcast that I'm recording, and I'm just drinking coffee. So
pretty smart. I should talk a little bit about kombucha here. I actually hate kombucha. It tastes like shit, and it's real. I mean, it took me a long time to train myself to drink this, and it was an intentional thing. It does bring me back to a Spanaway story, so I can kick it off with the Spanaway story. So back in the day, I used to have a lot of classes with Carl. You know Carl? Like, he played football.
Love Carl. Yeah,
Carl
played football.
Good dude. I love Carl. I got along with him great. I had a real soft spot in my heart for that guy. But he would tell me, we'd be in class like before doing some exam. I think it was some English class or something, AP Lit or something like that. And he'd tell me like, dude, every time I take an exam or I get really nervous, I have to really bad, man. I get the shit. He would tell me.
Way to kick us off. Way to kick us off, by the way.
I mean, if you know me, I'm going to go right there. So
I love it.
I like, that's crystallized in my head. And he'd be like, he told me that a couple days before, and sure enough, like, tests came up and he just looked at me sideways and kind of shook his head and like have to go over into the bathroom and stuff like that. I thought this was actually happening to me in high school, because like a lot of times in the mornings I'd have these exams and like, oh shit, do I have Carl's things going on, man? I got first thing in the morning every morning. What's going on? Like, have all these tests are hard tests or whatever. And then I found out I skipped breakfast a couple times, and then I didn't have I was like, oh, what's going on here? Like, it took me a little bit to do the correlation, but that I was actually lactose intolerant. Like, I was eating cereal with milk every morning, and then I just didn't do that, and I just didn't get sick. So I've been living with that for a while. Not that it's debilitating, eat something, roll the dice a little.
Find that out?
Yeah, in high school, just missing breakfast a couple times and just thinking about, well, why didn't I get sick this morning? Because it was pretty consistent. And it wasn't like that before. Like, it just started developing in high school.
Yeah, with pizza, all that other dairy products. So
I'll give you the next story about this, because I didn't know this before. Well, I guess to bring it back to kombucha and all this stuff, I found out later that if I did some kind of probiotic, that I could actually eat dairy. So it's kind of, yeah. So it's kind of for my health a little bit, just so I can digest other stuff, dairy specifically. So if people say, hey, I can have cheese, it stops me up or stuff, I was like, oh, I can experience this too. Have a kombucha or a probiotic or something like that. And it kind of worked out. So, so that's why
cure.
Yeah. So probiotic pills, like, I can do a lot of dairy, and I think it works for me because it's not like a debilitating allergy.
Yeah.
But it does affect me. Like, I don't want to be sentimental.
No, that's tight. So you found a workaround for that.
Yeah. And it works probably like 90% of the time. I know some friends that I give it to, like, it works. I don't know why people
Yeah, we're not doctors on this, just a reminder, we're not doctors or medical professionals, but we are of that age where our bodies are breaking down. So any type of tips that happen to work for any of us, hey, I think people are here for that too. I wouldn't know that. And so that's so good to know.
Yeah, so most times I just take a probiotic if I know if I'm going to have something heavy, or if I've already eaten something that's going to be like heavy dairy, and that works. And I always hated kombucha, but I knew it would have some of these properties like yogurts or something like that. So I just forced myself, just keep drinking, and eventually just don't care. And that's true. So like, I got over it. So just to keep us on topic, and do you remember the Blair Witch Project from back in the day?
99. Yeah.
It was a crazy time, right? You didn't know if the movie was real. There was all this weird drama around it. And we were going to go see it. I was with, at the time, my girlfriend and now ex-wife. We're going to talk about that later. So we were going to do it. But before we went to Godfathers Pizza, all you can eat pizza,
They still had that. My gosh.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about all these old places that make you like warm your heart. Like, oh, I remember that Godfathers. That was the
Thank you. You're the first to bring that up, because man, I remember going in there and just, especially smashing for like $5, all you can eat for lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Just, oh yeah, man. Shout out to Godfather's Pizza.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's such a great memory. Thank you for that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So after we ate pizza, we were on our way to like Tacoma movie theater. Like, you have to go down Hosmer. It's like kind of South Tacoma, right? So driving down Hosmer, and we just got back from the pizza place.
Oh yeah, that place is a gym now, I think. That theater, right? Yeah. The one on Hosmer, right? Did you watch the ones right there? Yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah, store or something like that. I think.
Yep.
It's a gym. It's a gym.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, sorry.
So we went down there, and while I'm driving down there, it's 5 lanes, right? 2 lanes one way, 2 lanes the other way, and there's a suicide lane in the middle. And I'm just driving there in my little Geo Metro, and some dude's coming from the other side. He skips this suicide lane, and he just like cuts right in front of me. I couldn't stop in time. I smashed this car, and he pulls into some apartment complex on the other side. So my dumbass, I'm really disoriented. I go in towards the complex to see him, and he turns around. And he starts driving at me. He doesn't care. He's like, I'm out of here. And I'm like, get out of there. I'm like yelling, get the plates, get the plates. We got the plates down. Insurance was able to use that information and like took care of things. So that was okay. But in the meantime, I'm just standing there, and I'm like, what do we do now? And then I get the bubble guts, man. Oh, right. Because I ate the pizza. I didn't know, man. I had no idea. So this girl that was living nearby, she was trying to help her, just rubbernecking or whatever. And I'm like, yo, can I go use your bathroom? So she was nice. She let me in. I go to her place or whatever. And I'm doing my thing. And the weirdest thing happened, like somebody else comes in while I'm like lowering their property value, like from the inside out. Like they come in like, hey, somebody's in here, and they didn't care. They're like rummaging through some shelves.
Didn't have a lock?
I thought I locked it. They didn't care. It was weird. So yeah, that's that story.
You made it out of there okay?
Yeah, I mean, I did. Like I said, I lowered their property value a little bit, but things had to be done.
I hate being out in public and then having to go. That's just one of the worst things. So like being out in public, you just had an accident.
If I just had not had pizza, maybe it would have been a little less impactful, but stuff happens.
But yeah, so that's kind of what it was. Godfathers kicked it off.
Yeah.
And you did it kombucha-less Godfathers, basically.
I didn't recommend.
So that's dangerous. Yeah. Oh man. What area were you staying in during that time?
So this was still high school. Folks, I was in Spanaway. Yeah, I'm pretty sure during the school year.
Blair Witch came out after. It must have been a different movie.
Oh no, it was Blair Witch. So it must have been shortly after. I might have had like my ideas confused or whatnot.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe I didn't, or I probably risking it with the pizza. You're right. 99 was Blair Witch. So I must have been back or something like that.
Yeah. Just trying to think of your drive. I just love, because it's funny how a lot of these roads in Spanaway, I can drive in my mind so clearly, taking that right on Military Road and like, just passing Sprinker, so clear in my mind is, I'm sure it's like so many things have changed and there's like different things there, but no, like that time period it's captured driving those streets all the time. It's like easy, but
people talking about old places are like, hey, you're asking like, hey, nobody's bringing up spinning wheels at all. Nobody's talking spinning wheels. Did nobody else go roller skating but me?
No, because when I went roller skating, it was only for did we ever go there during school? Because I don't really remember. So it wasn't school. And then the rink that I used to go to was actually on Fort Lewis because my dad was in the military. So that was the only skating rink that I would go to. But that's another good one though, because I remember it there. And I just heard this one today. Did you ever go to Spanaway Speedway?
Of course, man. Of course.
I never went. I could hear it every night in the summer, and I loved that sound. Like I could hear everything like every night, and it was just like that's like another vivid memory of growing up in Spanaway during that time, just hearing the Speedway, even though I never went once. So
your cred, like your Spanaway cred, went down at least 5 notches by saying that, man. How could you not at least go one time? You still should go, man. It's still open, isn't it?
Is it? No, I don't think it's open. I don't think it's open.
All right, let us know in the comments. Let's get that engagement up.
Yes, yeah. I mean, because if it is true, I would. Of course, I would go. So, my parents just super strict back then too, and they were just not. They're like going out and doing stuff type. So that's why like a lot of stuff I didn't really do till like high school, and then I kind of went crazy and tried to do as much as I could, and then And then UW, it got even worse. But yeah. So like when people bring up Spanaway, bring up that term or the town, what's that? How's that make you feel? What's that remind you of? What kind of emotion comes with Spanaway?
So, I don't know if you know this about me, but I've watched pro wrestling a few times in my life. So one of the performers, his name's Chris Jericho. He talks a lot of trash on Canada, but he's like, no, you can't talk trash. Only I can talk trash, right? It's like a big brother, little brother thing. So if I think about and talk about Spanaway, like I have a prideful thing about it. Like, yeah, I'm proud to grow up there. I'm proud of the people that I went there, but like I'll also talk trash on it too, because like, it's kind of, I've seen the underbelly of it quite a bit. My mom ran a smoke shop for a while. And so see like people who like where meth hit really hard and like sweep through the place and like really messed up. Not too far from us, I think a lot of it was shielded from us. That's not at least my memory of the place. That didn't really me, the people around me, So Spanaway, I love Spanaway. I still love it. Wouldn't necessarily live there now, but I love the place. It still has a very soft spot in my heart.
I think that brings up a good point. It's like, okay, we're not really trying to romanticize Spanaway, but I think with all of Spanaway's rough edges, even with all the bad that that was there during the time, and that might be even worse today. I can't judge that. Most of the people that come on here have a real soft spot for the area. And I really think it's because of the people. Like the more I do these, it was like something that we can all hold on to, who we met and like just the memories that we had. It just, man, it really hits hard. And it's just different when you still have other friends and obviously stuff out there. You meet people and do all these other things. But man, it feels special to, come from Spanaway, and it's nice that we can have a town that we could sort of champion, and we could do that with our high school and the town together. That's partly why I started this too. We have something unique. I also think we just grew up in like a real unique period.
You guys were talking about comedy, and I think you missed completely. Jeremy Whitman did stand-up comedy for like 10 years.
Yes, that's who I wanted to bring up. Yes. That's who, yeah.
Yeah. You can tell it was on the tip of your tongue. I saw him.
It was yes. I love Jeremy. Yeah. I never got to go see him though, but yeah, I heard he did a tour. Like people were telling me this after too.
And I think it's life as a comedian. Like you have to get out on the road and do gigs and like it's a big grind. And I think the last I remember, he stopped doing it because like it's really hard, right? You're just living on the road all the time.
Yeah. It is a grind. And then also I saw somebody in the comments, I think it was King Pup, that said something about, Joe Coy possibly went to Spanaway Lake, or he at least shouted, the last time he performed at Tacoma Dome in like, I think it was 23, but he did a promo. He cut a quick promo, and then he gave shout outs to Foss and Spanaway Lake. Like, those were the schools that he went to. And I was like, oh, snap. I didn't know that. I didn't know I knew he went to Foss. I didn't realize that he went to Spanaway Lake, because when I saw that promo and he gave Spanaway Lake a shout out saying that it was one of his old schools, that I was like, oh, I hadn't, it probably was one of those like came for like half a year or something like that, or something. That's Jeremy Whitman. I'd love to have him on, and just like, because that's a great experience, like just going for it. Nobody really like going for it. And so,
and he's a super smart dude. You have to be a good writer and just have a quick brain, quick wit to do that. And he had the complete package. It's just that's a tough business to keep doing for a long. When I address with you, we talked about this in group chats. So it was in one of my group chats.
For sure. And that's how I got him on.
Yeah, exactly.
I sent out the bat signal.
Yeah. Woke up that group chat. That one's been a little dormant for a little bit. So I appreciate that.
For sure.
We talked about, are we millennials or not? And I was about to have it out with you in the chat. He's like, no. Save that for
Save it, yeah.
So I think the definition I go by for a millennial, I don't identify as a millennial, but the definition I kind of think of is, did they grow up with the internet? Yes or no? We technically didn't grow up with the internet. When did they enter the workforce? Kind of in like that 2008 recession, a lot of millennials did. And we entered the workforce a little earlier, but this is a real litmus test for me. So I'll ask this of you. If you got caught slipping, you messed up, and your parents caught you, and you caught an ass whooping for it, did they call CPS? Did you caught an ass whooping and that's just like how it was and you took it? To me, that's a Gen X thing. That is not a millennial thing. Is the correct thing to do, right? You shouldn't be beating your kids. Just to be clear, you shouldn't be beating your kids. Not even close. But
go ahead.
To me, that is a bigger litmus test. Like the generation, the mindset of thinking of our parents is different, right? Than just a few years after that. Again, I would never touch my kids like that. So that's already past generation. So that's my litmus test. That's how I think we aren't millennials.
I think we're just like in a like a sweet spot right in between. So I saw Slater use this term zillennials. I like that more because you're right. I don't feel fully millennial, but I don't feel fully Gen X either.
Yeah.
So there should be that particular group. And like now I just try to be specific on my videos when I call people out. Like, hey, basically, if you have a 4 in the front of your age, if that's the number, then I that's who I'm really trying to make content for. And that's who I would also like to see make more content that I can watch so that, we all have like that similar type of humor, like that same age range, life experiences during kind of like what I've tried to center this channel around, like ultimately. So that's why it's funny that all the guests are in that age range because we're talking about that time. So all these things kind of filter into who I'm trying to reach. Are you good now? Do you have anything else that you want to? You're just like, hey, these are the topics I don't want to miss. So let me just pop. And I love it. So it's like that way we don't miss them. And what's up?
I didn't know this about you until much more recently, and I've known you for a long time. We had at least 9th grade. I think we were cool in 8th grade. I don't remember, but I know
I think we were cool in 7th grade. What are you talking about?
Yeah. But I remember it's ingrained in my head when we would go on the bus. We used to go to algebra up at the high school when we were in Cedar.
9th grade. I was going to bring this up. Yes.
Yeah. And it's a formative moment for me. Like the way we would do our daps or handshake or whatever. Like it was a formative moment because it felt really cool. Like I belonged. And I remember that distinctly. I would look forward to like just seeing you, giving you props, just like being firm. It's weird how that is like a core memory.
Yes.
Right. But now your handshake's like really loose and weak. So like you need to go talk to 30 years ago.
I'm all about hugs now. It's like,
that's true.
Like I'll do a slap and then like bring it in,
Yeah.
Especially as you get older, you're just like, man, it's just like, hey, we made it to our 40s, basically. Yeah. Like every time we see somebody now, it's just like, dude, it's like we're survivors, So that's why it's so funny. It's go ahead. Sorry.
Hugger too, even dudes. Like it's weird. I used to work at a place and there's a couple of like really religious dudes that were there, and they went to go give handshakes because I hadn't seen them like 5-10 years, and like
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this doesn't have to mean anything else. So I've known you for a long time, Heinz, and I think most people don't know, especially you got the tribal tattoo on. You're in Samoa right now. People don't know that you're part Chinese.
So I'm actually a quarter Chinese. So both of my grandmas on both sides were half Chinese. So both of my parents were actually a quarter Chinese as well. So 3/4 Samoan, 1/4 Chinese.
Wow.
And that's why I'm quarter.
You guys celebrate that culture at all? Like, is it part of your life? Any part of it at all? Do you even know like the family tree, provincial stuff, food stuff, anything like that?
I mean, so food stuff, this is actually interesting. So Chinese culture is actually pretty ingrained in a lot of food stuff already in Samoa. So like we have a dish called supasui, which is basically chop suey, so we've stolen and then made it our own with a lot of like dishes and stuff. And actually here right now, it's like, there's a lot of the business owners are Chinese, but no, we don't really associate with like cultural stuff or any of those traditions or anything. So, and I don't know too much about the great grandfather that was full Chinese. I know one of them came and tried to start a restaurant out here, maybe back in the 50s or something like that. That's kind of what I got on that side, but no, I didn't. But on the other one, man, I have no clue. And I just have no idea about that. But it's funny that you bring that up because I didn't realize you were Korean. This goes for like hella people from high school that I didn't realize was also like half Korean. I think that's kind of part of the multiculturalism too of Spanaway. Sometimes that's not really your first identity. So like with you, so it was your mom, right? That was Korean or?
Yeah. So I'm half Korean. I'm Korean from like the waist down, right?
No, but I
can't think of any place where most times you talk trash as a way to show love, if anything,
For sure.
Yeah. People used to say this about Alan. Alan's still one of my best friends.
Alan's been talked a lot about on the show too. His name tends to come up.
You got to get him on. I love Alan. He's got stories for days, but the litmus test for him is if he's mean to you, he loves you. And if he doesn't talk to you, then that's when you know that he doesn't care about you. And that's true. So
Well, I think there's 3 levels, right? We're pretty tight if I'm talking smack about you.
yeah.
Like that means I love you, right? And then if I just talk to you normal, then I'm kind of like, it's not like great, but it's not like terrible either. It's just, casual, normal, whatever. But then if I don't talk to you at all, I don't want to interact and spend any type of energy on you. So I get that for sure.
Let me touch on that last point. So people know you as a very friendly, like easy to get along with guy,
Yeah.
especially in school times. Did you have beef with anybody? And what was that beef? You had to have something.
No, not during school, really.
One beef, not one person that you got mad at or.
It's not like it's the great thing, but I so wanted to be liked. That was just like a disease, right? So it was one of those things where it was like, man, I'm almost willing to do anything to just be liked by everybody, and I mean everybody. Like, I didn't want any one person. Yeah, that's basically, I'm trying to think if I did have any, but no, I really tried to get along with everybody. And, I don't think that's really a good thing either. I'm not, I think that you lose some value in your own worth too, because it's like, well, if you're trying to please everybody, then who are you? Are you even a real person? Because you're just basically a robot that molds to like, your surroundings or whatever. So come looking back, it's like, man, I definitely don't want to be that. So, but yeah, no, I think everything was pretty cool in high school. I was just so, like I said, I really just wanted to be liked.
I'm sure some armchair psychiatrist or psychologist will tell you it's a trauma response, but I'm not. But
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
You're doing all the work,
and I got stuff to talk about. I'm talking a lot of shit, but I had lots of love for a lot of people. I don't know if you know this, but in 7th grade, like easily my best friend was like, we were really tight in 7th grade just because he lived 2 streets down from me and we would hang around a lot. And I remember that fool would beat my ass in speed. We'd play speed. He would beat me every single time. And I'm known for having like some pretty quick reflexes to play video games, type fast and all that shit. Yeah. He would always beat me and it would haunt me like, oh, I'm going to get it. And he would, for whatever reason, always be able to come out on top. Like 7th grade is a big year. And I remember him kind of trying to bring me along. They tried to get me to date some other girl that was there. I don't remember her name exactly, like or something like that. She was real cute. Just don't get me wrong. Like I didn't know what I was doing back then. So
yeah,
I
still don't know what I'm doing. So you're good.
We need to talk about that. So other beefs that I have,
you're saving me from work, and I just get to sit back and listen.
Happy to help. So you talked to Jay. Jay's an amazing dude.
Hilarious. I love that dude.
Yeah, he's a gift. So one of my favorite classes was actually a physics class that we had. I don't know if it was AP physics, but it's physics nonetheless. We had a first-year teacher named Mr. Miles.
I was in that class.
You were in Miles? Yeah. When are we talking about this? You guys not bringing this up. You probably dropped halfway through, right? Did you take it both quarters or both halves?
Yeah, no, I took it that first, and then I already remember kind of like what transpired because that class was some weird energy all around. I'll let you go tell your side of the story because I forgot about that class though.
It's one of my most memorable classes because of how it played out. So Mr. Miles was previously a college professor. He taught stats, but he didn't teach it in the normal way. He took like a college textbook and he taught us out of a college textbook. And I remember it being really useful because I had taken calculus the year before. Didn't you take it? Yeah, you took it with me, right? We took calculus.
I was in there.
So
I struggled through both those 2 classes. I struggled through though. Like calculus, it was tough, and then physics was tough. So and that's why I know for sure I only took it that first because I was like, man, I don't need this class. So I was like,
I want to talk trash on Alan because like he didn't go math. Like we got 1 level up on math for whatever reason. Like we got a jump start. I remember for me it was like 6th grade.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, you're right. It was like 6th grade.
6th grade, they made me take something, and then apparently I could do some algebra, even though without being taught it. So they put me in algebra in 7th grade.
Yeah, I think same.
Yeah.
I was the same way, and who else was with us in those classes?
Was there, right? I think Tanitra was there.
Yeah, Kina was with us too.
He was there. Tanitra was there. Tony Sai was there. That's how I know Tony Sai.
Oh yeah. So what was fun about that was, it was 6th grade. We took this math test that entered us into a math class that was ahead of most people in our grade. So from 7th grade, because I was really good at math in 6th grade, by the time we got to 9th grade, we actually started our day at Spanaway Lake. And so this is why kind of a gangster. But so we would start our day at Spanaway Lake, take trigonometry as junior high kids, and then a bus would take half of us to Cedar Crest and then the other half to Spanaway Junior. And then I noticed man full would just like not go to class and then come catch the bus to Spanaway Junior. I didn't catch on until like halfway through the year. And I was like, we get to sleep in every now and then. It's not like Spanaway Lake. They were taking an attendance and then sending it to the junior high as long as we're on the bus. And I was just like, man, this is brilliant, because I just thought that was such a funny move. By the time we hit AP Calculus, I don't think I was like motivated the same way. And I was just not, my focus was not there on AP Calculus, and I was struggling. I just remember like, it's not coming easy to me like all the other math stuff that used to. And I just remember struggling through that class. But sorry, I just went off on the tangent.
I think that experiment was some kind of failure, because I had the same kind of thing maybe halfway through that last part of the year. I'd stopped doing the work too completely. And I think the only reason I got a halfway decent grade out of that was because I think the teacher knew my brother and he felt kind of bad or something like that. And I remember getting like some okay grade out of it. And also remember not doing any of the work. I do remember calculus being hard. I can't remember the teacher's name, but I always remember she would play Kenny G. You remember that? She would just
no, I don't remember that class very much. I just remember, all I remember just it being hard. I can't even could tell you who was teaching it, or I mean, it's funny, doing these helps me unlock some of those memories, because like I'm drawing blanks right now, but like if you told me the name, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's right. Or if I seen a picture, but no, I don't really remember that.
Yeah, that's what it is now. Like I can see her face, but I don't remember her name. It's funny because I will listen to Kenny G sometimes now because I was in that class hearing it a lot. Like, oh.
See, that's crazy. Yeah, it brings up those old memories. Like, it's funny how music really hits like that when it comes to memories. Like, so that's why I think a lot of people love music from whatever generation they were growing up, because those memories lock in with that music. It's so easy to tie all those things together. So yeah.
So I remember it being a bummer because somebody had stole her CD. It was like kind of towards the end of the year. Somebody jacked it. Like, I couldn't do this.
Dude.
I still like distinctly remember like this heartbreak look on her face. Take that from her. That's pretty awful. So to bring it back, calculus was hard and there wasn't a real application for it. I remember doing it and like, okay, well, I'm going to use this. But in physics, the way Mr. Miles taught it was actually calculus-based physics. And it all like really clicked in my head. Like, okay, here's the actual application. This works. I'm learning a lot. And I remember Jay struggling in that class, specifically Jay. A lot of people, not just Jay, like to be clear, right?
I struggled in that class. Because it wasn't, it's funny you say college textbook. It was basically like a binder that was like self-made, like from the teacher. And I remember a lot of people complaining about how, hey, this is not school district issued.
When you say, well, I'm pretty sure that was Jay and Jay's parents got that changed, and we changed that halfway through.
Well, I think I remember Crumpos being quite adamant too.
You're right. Probably Crumpos. You're probably right.
I thought he was the leader in it, because he was quite adamant about how it was like, hey, and I'm just sitting there like, I don't even know if I should be in this class, but hey, you guys go off. And I'm just kind of sitting just like, yeah.
You're probably right, Jay. My bad. They kind of get mixed up in my head sometimes.
I feel it.
So I remember having that switching textbooks, and I stopped learning. Like all learning that happened. Like I didn't pick up anything else. So it's unfortunate that we did that. But the interesting dynamics in that class were that we were super rowdy. Like you remember we would chant for Jerry Springer, right? You in there where we did that stuff?
I mean, I was in that class, but yeah. I don't remember doing that. But damn, I mean, and I was one to follow the crowd. Hey, I'm the crowd pleaser. So, hey, if people are chanting Jerry, I'm chanting Jerry for sure.
It was on during that time, and I remember it just being on one time. So maybe we did this in the second half. So like we as a class would do Jerry, and get him to turn it on. Like he would turn it on sometimes, and it was cool. But the weird dynamic was that it was very hostile in there. I think I remember Ezra like trying to punk him, like something like that. Do you remember this?
I remember that.
Yeah. I remember that too. It was a really weird dynamic. It was especially weird for me because I could get away with shit that nobody could get away with in that class. I'd say some shit like making fun of somebody I don't remember, and like, Ralph, you boy. And I remember Alan saying almost the exact same thing. ISS, immediately detention, like sitting right next to me. And it was weird, like probably the first time I've ever felt white privilege or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody else get hammered, but like I'm doing the same thing.
No, the energy just was fully, it's hard to explain. Everything about that class was fully awkward. The energy was high tension. The kids are all in there pretty smart, but we're still rowdy though, kind of like rebellious. A lot of them don't like the teacher. And, I was kind of different. I'm just trying to blend in and trying to pass. I didn't remember any of it until you brought that up. And I was just like, oh my God, I do remember that physics class.
Yeah, that was crazy. It's just a interesting moment because on one hand, there was a lot of learning and also just like a lot of weird in-person dynamics that happened there. Like to me,
Yes.
very memorable. From like strict academic perspective, did you ever have Miss Childers? Did you get that in junior high?
I don't think I did.
Who was your English teacher in junior high?
I don't remember.
See, I remember like it was yesterday. Like Miss Childers was known for being super hard and super strict.
I don't think I had her then. Yeah.
I
I think
it-
I would have remembered that.
Yeah, I remember it distinctly because she just had a way of teaching that really clicked. And it's weird when I think about it. People say bad things about Spanaway, it's depressed or whatever, but we had like excellent schools, excellent teachers. The ratings for the area never looked good, but we had super smart people coming out of there,
Oh, for sure.
And I think I remember having Mr. Barkman for geometry. Dude was like
I do remember him.
Yeah, it's so good. I remember just being in there
was good.
Yeah, just able to connect the dots in my head, like checking his watch foot and shit like that. Like I still remember those things.
Yeah, that was still like I was kind of on point with the geometry. Like I was like, oh yeah, I get this. It's hella easy. And like he was a baseball fan. I still remember that vividly. And like he would always bring up baseball stats. And then I just remember just like, man, I love this. This is like I understand what he's talking about. And it's funny because I remember one of his finals, he kind of let everybody off the hook almost. The last question, which was 50% of the final, was like, what did you think of this class? And I was like, what the hell? Do you remember that? That's kind of a weird one to base half of this final on, is some like random question like that. But no, sure, I do remember. I didn't realize that was his name. But then it's funny because like when people bring up these names, then I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that person. Yeah.
Yeah, we had all kinds of great teachers. Like I said, Miss Childers from there. I think anybody that went to Cedar Crest that went through there can have some appreciation about it. She had something that was both strict and loving and like intelligent that worked. But I remember trying to get it over on her one time. I can say this because she's passed now, rest in peace. She's not going to dock me for this. But we were turning in some assignment and I had some rebellious, like this is my rebellion. I just didn't do the assignment, right? I just didn't feel like it. And so she would pass them in order. And so she would get them and there would be no question about like whether the assignments were there. She's extremely, good at her job.
Yeah. Trusting. Yeah.
Yes. And I remember her calling me over and saying, hey, Ralph, your assignment's not in here. And I was like, I don't know, man. I thought I put it in there. Yeah. Well, she said, well, you can still turn it in. And I remember her letting me turn it in, docked me points. And that's the reason I did not get an A in that class, that one assignment specifically. She's like, you ain't getting this over on me, kid. And like to this day, I still remember that. And I love her for that. Like,
yeah,
doing something, you got to just give it 100%. Like either do or don't fuck around.
Valuable lesson.
Yes.
It's a picture of how life treats you.
There's like, I had Miss Pointek for French class for a long time. She was always really good to me. Just, I don't know. There are very few teachers that I thought like, oh, this is an awful teacher. There's some part about like Mr. G and Mr. Graciano not inspiring me enough to keep going with music. There was something about that senior year band that didn't work out, which I kind of regret. And maybe I put that a little bit too much on his feet when I should kind of own that myself. But like, I love doing music. I still love music. Like, and I wish I had carried it on longer. Some part of me still wants to do it, but
like playing music, creating music.
Yeah, just both. I think like mostly playing. Like I love playing in band. I don't think most people know, but like I'm not tone deaf. I can sing okay. I know really good singers. We know really good singers, so I won't ever claim to be anybody that I'm not. But like I can sing. You put me on a mic on karaoke, I'm gonna sing
for sure.
And there's something about like creating music and being with a lot of people that I love and I miss. There's no feeling like that in the world where you're just creating there. It's ephemeral, right? You're putting it out there, people enjoy it, and it's gone. You can record it, but it's not the same thing, right? It's not. And there's no, I don't know any other. Yeah, exactly. You can't capture that any other way other than that creation. So I miss it. I wish I still did it. I remember playing and I was pretty good at the instrument, but I came back for a homecoming game, I think 2 years later, and I tried to play and my chops were completely gone. I couldn't play at all. I think it's heartbreaking because it came second nature to me. Like I could play and it didn't matter. You take a summer off, it wouldn't matter.
You
I
played
remember,
French horn?
yeah, I played the French horn.
You
So
play any other instruments?
no, not really, not really. So
Okay, no.
to say that I could play, if you play brass, you can play most of other brass, but you won't be very,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
finger similar and whatnot. Um, so I remember losing my chops completely, and it just like broke my heart because I had other layoffs where it wasn't like that. Like I have a scar right here in my lip where my tooth punched through my lip. I was playing basketball and I rebounded against this one dude's head and just like stamped my lip with my tooth
Grade
busted.
was that?
I want to say that's like 8th grade, maybe 9th grade, something like that.
Wow.
So I couldn't play for a month. And I remember after that healed, I could play no problem. And I remember in that same vein, like being a kid is hard. Like I feel bad. Brian Bedroy, if
It
you're
is.
one, I'm sorry for hitting you in the trumpet. He was playing one time and he was like fucking around and I hit his trumpet one time, busted his lip, same, like very similarly. Done that. It was very
Dude, you're such an asshole.
an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm here to shine light on him. Like, don't have to paint everything with a rosy picture, you know?
Yeah, you're basically pulling out all the trauma that a lot of people went through, and then you're trying to apologize for it. I think it's beautiful strategy, to be honest.
If he listens, all the better. I'm not on social media, so this is
That's why this is perfect for people that aren't on social media, man. You can get like a lot of info that you know, and it's much deeper level, and you can consume it at your own pace,
that's
preferably on the TV.
over time with multiple accounts. Get them accounts up for Heinz.
Yes, please.
So it's interesting with social media. Like I stopped being on Facebook, I want to say like 27 or 2018. I had some kind of epiphany moment where I saw Brian Donnelly. So there was a group of us that were really good friends, Brian being one of them. And I hadn't seen him in a long time. He went to the East Coast, did the military thing for a while. And he came back. And I remember him, like, we're catching up. And I knew everything that had happened in his life. And I didn't like that feeling because I had consumed it as if like I know what's going on, but there wasn't any connection. Like we couldn't talk about it. He couldn't share it with me. Like, I already know you did this. I knew you did that. But like that one way broadcast communication, that's not real communication to me. What we're doing right here, real communication.
Yeah, just having a conversation.
Yeah. If I'm going to put something out for like maybe 100 people to possibly consume, that's not how we talk. So I remember turning my account off specifically, and just like no more social media that way. Like that's not how I want to
Yeah.
communicate. Well, like I'm in group chats. I remember when I turned off Facebook, I put it out there like, hey, if you want to talk to me, here's my phone number. We can talk about it. And I remember talking to Jonah for a little while after that. But without me doing that, we probably would not have had a place to like connect and talk real stuff, you know? Like people put the best spin on their lives. Here are my cutest pictures, the ones that make me look most awesome. And that world is just like not real to me. That's some other world I don't want to partake in. So yeah.
I mean, I think you're not alone. I think a lot of people our age that, and like I'll hit back on that 40 to 50 group. I think less and less people are posting on there because it might not even, and a lot of them is for different reasons. Yours is one of them, but it's just, it doesn't feel right almost. And it's such a, I don't know what it is. It's hard to really explain. I think we'll understand it more as years go on, kind of exactly what's going on. But I think there's a lot of people our age, especially like if you look at Instagram accounts, it's like, oh yeah, their last post was in 2022, you know, or 2020, and it's just not, and that's a very normal thing to have happen. Yet, even though their last time they posted, you'll still see that same person possibly like whatever, how many pictures that or videos or whatever that people are putting out, whatever other content. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of, I think it's just it's also part of the evolution of social media. And I think that this is, and I've said it a few times before, but I think this is why this is a good option for us 40-year-old people to really resonate with. And it's just something that's, you know, you don't have to focus 100% on it. Like I said, this is something they could have on in the background. You're playing this on the way to work. You're, you know, all these different things that you could be doing. So it's not like you have to sit there and scroll. But I think you bring up a great point about how it's weird when you do see somebody and you've seen all the things that they've been through, places they've gone, or, you know, things that they're highlighting. And then when you do see them in person, it's like, okay, hey, you know, so it's like a conversation instead of going like, hey, what have you been up to? It's more like, hey, how was that XYZ thing that you did? And it's a different energy, right? Because then now you're not as surprised. That's why what I love about these is really getting into the way people think of Spanaway and what people think of that time period, and then kind of like all the in-betweens. And so you're just giving us all the in-between stuff. Like, if you want to take the reins, speaking of taking the reins, have you ever thought about starting your own YouTube channel? Or how about even starting your own podcast? Well, if you've been watching my channel, thank you. I've been using this mic lately ever since my homeboy Jeff sent it to me, and it's Zeal Sound. And you could see the link in the description. I am an affiliate of Amazon, so I would be getting a small commission from this. But it also not only hooks up to laptops and stuff, but it comes with these little port things that also plug into like your phone. Like this is I believe this is like an 11, and like it kind of goes in there, and then you can use it for your phone too. So if you are thinking about starting a YouTube channel or even starting a podcast, MSRP is around $40, but a lot of times if you're on Amazon, you'll find some coupons and other things like that to bring the price down. But if you have any other questions about starting a podcast or even starting a YouTube channel, hit me up. Just let me know and we'll get you back to your scheduled programming.
Okay. I'll share here. So this is a picture of us at senior prom. This is our clique. This is the 5 dogs. There's me not saying, they could have told me to stand straight up. I mean, they could have.
It would have looked yeah.
Better. But yeah, there's Alan, me, Brian, Jimmy, and Kaylee. So yeah, this is our clique in senior year. Everybody else kind of scattered a bit to the winds. Jimmy, I know Jimmy's doing really good. He went to the football game too. And last I heard, Brian was on the East Coast. Maybe I need to get back on Facebook so I can actually catch up.
Yeah, I think he hit me up actually when I was out there. I think he's in, I don't want to guess, but he's on the East Coast because I think he's not too far from Virginia from the last time. And the same thing, he hit me up from a Facebook post. So all this smack that we were kind of talking about Facebook. And then that's the one reason why I don't get rid of it either, is just because communication. So it's like sometimes that's people's only communication.
This is random. This is a random. Yeah, we did a park get together, some barbecue, and I don't even remember the occasion. The guy in the stripes, that's actually RJ. That's Carrie right here. She's married to Chris. Love Carrie. Went through AP English or honors English with her. Almost every year she invites me over to her Halloween party, and they got a whole like big old house full of kids. Lots of love in that house. Love Carrie to death.
That's dope.
Yeah, I don't remember the timeline. Let me share that. So this is RJ, who looks still exactly like this, by the way.
Yeah.
He's got the double whammy, right? He's got black don't crack and Asian don't raisin. He's got it. So he's like frozen in time. Pretty cool. And then Chris, really good time. Okay. The question was, how long ago was this? If I was on Google Photos, I could tell you. This is like early middle 2000s. I want to say this is probably like 2005, 6, something like that. Maybe 7, right in that area. Yeah, it's Alan and his sister. You can barely tell it's Alan because it's got his hair covered up, but you know.
Yeah.
So I'll share this picture here. So in this picture, on the top left, that's actually my brother. That's my full brother. I love him.
He's the one that's older than you? 2 years older?
2 years older. And so the interesting thing about this is while I'm going through my divorce, and tough time in my life, you know, happy to have gone through it, you know. We're better people to have gone through it. I've got a lot of love for Eileen. You know, we tried something that didn't work. But in this house, like what you're seeing here is about the only thing left in the house. There was a couch, I had a little table, and we played hella Monopoly. So on the bottom left, that's David. Bottom right is Aaron Smitty. He's still one of my best friends. And then upright is Chris. But like those guys came in and were there for me for that time. Like it was a hard time in my life. They just lived in my house for like 6-8 months and like good support.
Wow.
I love these guys. Did
Smitty tell you I ran into him?
No.
Yeah, like two years ago.
No joke.
One of the last times I was in Seattle, he was playing poker and he was talking mad shit at the tables. And then, you know, I sit down at that. No, it was a different table, but I come over and I just start saying something. Then he stands up and then, you know, he gives me a hug and stuff. And like, he's hilarious. So, but I was like, I loved seeing like him not knowing I was there and just seeing him just talk mad shit. And it was just entertaining. It was so good. I was like, oh, look at me. And so, no, it was so good.
Let me got a couple more. What else was here?
This is like I just keep going back to the same picture because now there's been three of you. Three of you that's in this picture have been on this podcast. So I'm just hitting up all the most likely to succeed from 30 years ago, ninth grade, 1995. Oh,
Look at that. There's me. I think we all did okay. You know, I don't think that's too far off. I think we're doing okay.
yeah. I love your pose too. You're like, you look super cool. And Jay looks different. I love Jay. Okay, your turn.
So I had to dust this one off. This is actually from my wedding. On the left, there is one of my best friends, Jay. I met him at UW. So while my circle of friends dissipated, like we were in the same cluster and we watched, like we bonded over wrestling and video games. He lives in my neighborhood. He lives like, 5 houses down from me. And then that's also Alan, if you can't tell in that picture, because he's got long, almost like Jerry curl hair going.
Yeah.
Contacts.
I could tell. Yeah.
Yeah. The contacts
look tight to me. Yeah.
So we were at Burger King one time and he goes in and this girl starts macking on him saying like, dang, your eyes are so pretty. And then I started to hate it immediately. Like, man, those contacts. Wait, I hated on him. I totally cock-blocked him.
They look tight though. Even in this picture, they look tight.
Yeah. He knew what he was doing. He picked the right color.
Man, so were you in McMahon? You said cluster. Were you in McMahon?
I was in your dorm, man. I was up on
Dude, I didn't even. Jeez, that's crazy.
I didn't know that you guys were down there either. Like I had no idea. I would have kicked it for sure, man. I had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't know you were in McMahon. Man, there's so many of us then from Spanaway that were actually at UW. So, did you finish on time? Because I did not.
No, I dropped after the first year. So I went the full year, and then I was like super depressed. It was not a good time in my life. And I just couldn't succeed in those class sizes and not getting that attention I needed from the teachers. And I had a girlfriend back home, like going back and forth all the time, just not really focused. It was bad. I got a 1.6 in calculus, a class I've already taken in high school. I got a 1.6. And I retook it in summer and I got a 3.9. And the only reason I didn't get a 4.0 is that I couldn't take the final because I got in a car accident. Probably the one I was talking about, the same car accident from Godfathers. So
look at you connecting stories.
Look at that. So when I went back the next year, it was the same thing. And I remember just being in my dorm room. I got the Hansi hall. I think that's a single person hall.
Yep.
Right. And so I got one of the end. Right. Sounded cool, but it's even more isolating.
Yeah, it is. It's like a castle in there.
Yeah. Halfway through, I said, I can't do this. It's like I'm starting to accumulate debt and stuff like that. And I just left. And I went to 2-year college. And then when I was about 30, I went and finished my bachelor's. But no, it took me longer than it took you. But I also had a giant break.
Yeah.
So here's what you missed out on, Heinz. Like we had great times singing karaoke. So that's Tanitra. And then that's David Kensianich. And you see Susan in the background. Where my mom. Yeah. We would sing all.
Whose house? So is this your house?
This is my mom's place.
In Spanaway.
This is in Parkland, technically.
Okay, yeah.
But same area.
Same difference. Same.
Yes, we had so much fun singing. We do this. I think we're doing this like at least every other weekend or something like that.
So this is before Tanisha moved to New York.
Yeah. She was back for a while. Yeah, I got one more in the same vein, and there we go. So if you ever get her on, then that's a big win. On the right side,
she'll never come on.
She probably won't. And that's Tanya on the left side. And Joycelyn. So that's Joycelyn in the middle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we'd had a whole bunch of us at
same time period. Yeah. So this is like late 2000s.
Yes, definitely. So somewhere after the 10-year reunion. So after 2018 up until like 2013.
Yeah.
We did a lot of this stuff. It was a great time. I love these guys.
Love it. Which elementary school did you go to?
I went to Camas Prairie. So I can give you the story of how we came up here. I actually was born in Kentucky and we were Army and moved around quite a bit. I think I was in Germany for a little bit. We stopped in Korea for some time. My dad passed when I was 4 and we were in Kentucky at the time and then moved to Tennessee and sat there for like 2nd and 3rd grade. And I don't know if you know
Fort Campbell?
Yeah, we were at Fort Campbell for a while. Yep.
Yeah, I was just there. Yeah, I was just there like 16 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, for the first time. Never been to Kentucky or Tennessee. Yeah, so like it was red. I have family there, so that live in Clarksville. Yeah, so yeah, Clarksville, Tennessee, but it's right on the border of Kentucky. And so
our path. I was born in that area, and then kindergarten first Fort Knox, and we moved down to Clarksville for second and third grade. So yeah, I'm familiar with the area. It must be a military thing out there too. I'm sure that's why we're in Clarksville.
For sure.
Yeah. And I don't know if you know this about Koreans, but we're prone to doing like very brash things and like big life altering things and just like, yeah, we're just going to go do this. Like not afraid to do that. So this is exactly how it happened for our family. My mom was like, this is kind of not really working too here. I hear there's good things like way over there, the other side of the state, other side of the country. Yes, other side of the country. It's about as far away as we can get from here. We're going to go there. And that's what we did. We drove up here one summer, and then fourth grade, I was at Cameras Prairie. It's exactly how it happened. Because that was some proximity to Fort Lewis, McCord, things like that. So we went up there. Yeah, and I've been up here since fourth grade. So a long time.
Siblings?
I have an older brother. That's a weird story about this. So I have an older brother, right? He's 2.5 years older. We didn't get along at all growing up, like even a little bit. It wasn't like brotherly love and like somebody that was close. Like I was just bullied the whole time. It was awful. My brother's since, like, we've talked about it, and he's, apologized for doing that. Like, hey, there's just, I don't know really why I was doing that. I think if I do my armchair psychology, I can kind of break it down, but I've forgiven him for that. We're not that close. He's kind of a hermit, and so that makes it a little hard to connect with him. But we're still in touch, like, we're friendly. But I have a weirder story about the rest of my siblings because I have more. I have a half brother that my mom had early on, and she gave him up for adoption early on. She was real young, and it wasn't right for her. So she knew a family friend, gave her up for adoption, and he started hanging around with us when he was in his mid-teen years in Tennessee. And when we drove up to Washington, he came with us. So, but he had no idea that we were related. He had no idea. But my mom, being like coming up with her own ideas about like, hey, how the world should work, she got back with his bio dad, and like we all moved up here. And then they told him, hey, by the way, we're your real parents. And you could see it like plain as day. You put them next to each other, you put him, and like you can see the resemblance. He did not take that well. He was like, oh, that's unfortunate and weird. And he left 6 months after that, and like went back home and like lived the rest of his life out, and like still talked a little bit when we were on Facebook. He's a good dude. But yeah, it was weird how that happened. And like my mom always had some like crazy intentions, but it doesn't always work out the way you draw it up in your head,
Yeah, 2 + 2 doesn't always equal 4, right? When it comes to relationships and stuff like that, So in math, yeah, it does, but maybe in, no, it makes sense.
Yeah. And so I have another thing that is weird too. So I grew up with these other people that I thought were my cousins. Like they lived with us for a little while. And I remember them being there for like a month. And I was young, 3, 4, something like that. I remember trying it. One of the older kids, he had some like behavioral things or something like that. There's more to it, but I'm not going to put him on blast right here.
Yeah.
Yep. So it didn't work out. They moved out. And then randomly, one of them finds me on Facebook in like, I don't know, 2012, 2013, something like that. I'm like, hey, it's so-and-so and so-and-so, right? And like, oh, yeah, hey, what's up? You guys my cousins? And like, no, I'm not your cousin. Like, I'm your brother and your sister and your dad's side. I had no idea. that they were related. And that the way I found out was on
close related.
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. We do kind of look exactly the same. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I do have siblings. I believe that is my entire family tree. How about you? I don't know your family tree, huh?
I have I have 2 half brothers that were raised by my grandparents. They're like 4 years older than me, and they're twins. And so one lives in New Zealand, the other one lives in Abu Dhabi. So, and we talk maybe once a month over Zoom. Since the pandemic, we used to talk like weekly, like, cause that was like the only thing to do kind of during that time period was like, Zoom and just all the internet things. But we've kind of kept way more in touch now, just doing that over Zoom. And then, my senior year, my parents left. And so I kind of got adopted myself by a family from my church and the Pritchards. And so I pretty much got like all these new like brothers and sisters like my senior year. And it was just a dope environment for me to graduate with. And it was because my parents left February-ish during senior year. So I was like, dude, the finish line's right there. It's no point of me leaving and then, trying to finish somewhere else random. So that's kind of like most of the siblings I have. And, and I'm just pretty much everybody that I grew up with, I always call like brother and stuff. But outside of that, nope, that's kind of it. I was thinking with your situation when you guys drove up, was it you and your So it was you and your brother? Did your brother come with you? Your older brother?
Of course, it was more than that. So, yeah. But when my dad was alive, my mom like ditched all of the Korean culture. She just tried to raise us as white can be.
Yeah.
And fit in with all these white people. No Korean food, no nothing. But once he passed, she brought in her family from Korea. Like my grandma came by, my uncles, two of my aunts, and we all lived together. And I got heavy dose of Korean culture immediately. And I loved it. Like I love being Korean.
How's your Korean?
It's pretty bad nowadays. It's pretty bad. I used to be able to speak some and understand some, but if I hear it now, like it's all way too fast for me. Like my brain doesn't catch up with it. I used to think my accent was okay, but I don't even try right now. It's embarrassing. Like I need to practice it to get better.
People are all like, your Samoan must be great. And it's like, no, because basically I do these podcasts in English. All the content I consume is in English. It's mostly YouTube. And I'm kind of a hermit myself, except when it comes to the internet, because I don't really have friends out here. And that's another reason why I love this podcast. I get to hang out with my friends. No, it's dope. So I think that's why I get so much energy from it, because Ralph asked me before the podcast, he was like, man, does this take a lot of energy? I was like, man, this gives me a lot of energy. So I'm all for it. And having these conversations that, man, it's funny how like a structured podcast is the way to kind of like get a lot of stuff out that you normally wouldn't get out in almost any other social situation, right? You're not going to be at dinner and just kind of like, hey, this is some of the junior high trauma that I went through, and so you'll never get that in like a lunch or a dinner. But hey, on a podcast, it's totally socially acceptable. So yeah, I loved it. And then, I can go on forever about how just thankful I am for this. But
so it's interesting you bring up, you said you're kind of a hermit. So after the 10-year reunion, a lot of us got back in touch and hung out a lot. So that's like me, Tanya, Chu, Susan, Tanitra, Dave Kinskianich, Tanika, Alan was there. Like we had a big crew. We would hang out a ton. Like we'd go to Sherry's and Starbucks, and you were there sometimes, but you were super flaky and like didn't go half the time. Are you that busy, or are you like kind of a social introvert sometimes? What do you think that is?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was just because I think it was 20s and I was super active, and I always like, it's funny because nowadays, like if those same events were to come, I would like 1,000% like, I could catch the next one. I can catch the next one. And then you say no to like a few of them and you don't realize that shit, you've said no like 5 times in a row. So like, it's kind of like, right. And then now you go 5 years later and we've only had maybe one event in that time. And it's just like, damn, I missed the good days where I should have just gone. And I think some of the times I was busy. No, I was just
too bad. But we did a ton of karaoke, and I know you can sing. Do you actually enjoy singing nowadays? I know you did a ton of it back in the day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Love karaoke.
Yeah, what the hell?
If you like, it's good songs. Yeah. If it's like, my hitters, like, what's your favorite karaoke songs?
This is how I know I'm old. Like I love Blackstreet No Diggity. I love singing that in karaoke. That's a jam.
That's a dope song.
I sung it with my current coworkers, and there's like some Gen Z people there, and it was weird that most people didn't know. No, they didn't
know. See, that makes sense, because I would have been surprised if they did know. I'm like, oh, they do that song? Okay.
It was weird because I did it, and like some people like, oh, isn't this song from Pitch Perfect or something like that? Like, oh man, this was such a important song in my childhood. But I realized
30 years old.
Right.
I think it's 95.
I might as well have been up there saying, hey guys, you really want to listen to this Chubby Checker song? We're going to do the twists or something like that, right? Like, it's the same thing. And it's like, damn, like I'm facing my mortality at that point. Time is real. You can't dodge.
Time is real, but also it's like, hey, this podcast is to find our people, right? So obviously this is a beacon for Spanaway people from the 90s, but I think just anybody in general that appreciates like 90s culture can also, because we'll like the same stuff, because like, man, I love that song. I don't know if I've ever sang it in karaoke. Do you have any others?
No, I think you and I did like Forgot About Dre on karaoke one time. I'm pretty sure that we did that one.
That one's hard though. That one's hard because like
I think you did the Dre verses and I did the Eminem verses. I'm pretty sure.
Any rap song, any rap song, you almost have to know the words already. If you don't know the words already, it's almost impossible to do one of those songs because as fast as they go. And it's Sublime Santeria. That's just a real kind of easy one that I like. I can hit all those notes pretty well. And it's just kind of I like that one to kind of get things rolling. And this one's an easy one because like I think most people should do this song because this one you will get the crowd to sing with you, and it's Drift Away. If you sing Drift Away, once the chorus comes, pretty much everybody sings the chorus with you. You just got to get through that first verse, and then it's like everybody helps you out. So I think it's a nice little, that's another one to kind of get the crowd energy going because people will yell the chorus on that one. Yeah, so those two are kind of like have them in my back pocket. And then like obviously other songs, I try to stay away from rap songs because it's like unless I know them for sure, like unless it's like Biggie, like Big Papa, like I almost know that song. I almost don't need the words, right? So songs like that I can do, but like other songs that are kind of like in between like that, forget about Dre, man, that's tough because I probably struggled through that if we sang that anytime. So
I think we did okay. I can cook on that song. Like I have all those memorized. Like the whole Ready to Die CD. Like I can recite that.
Love that. That's probably one of my favorite albums of all time.
I think I wore that thing out.
I remember being in class at Cedarcrest, and I think I might have said this already, but I had the album on the desk, and I forgot which teacher it was. And I think you were in that class with me, but they picked up the album and they were like, "Oh, this is a cute baby."
Oh, I remember this. Yes.
Were you in that class with me?
I
swear, I remember being in that class, and I kind of remember you being there, and I remember thinking, "Oh shit! Like you don't realize how dope of an album you got in your hands." But it's crazy because like it's just a picture of a baby in the front of it, right? And so yeah, that Ready to Die was such a great album. So I was so heartbroken when he passed, man. During that time period, I was like, dude, yeah, because he was
some part of that. Like the martyrdom is okay because if I tried to listen to the other ones after, like the next CDs after, didn't catch me the same. Maybe I just romanticized and only had the one CD and listened to the one CD. But I'm not saying it's great that he died, and not at all. But it's weird how the art might have changed over time. I think of like Snoop, his Doggy Style. That's a legendary album. But I can't like this stuff after that. But it's like I don't know. I never listened to any of the No Limit stuff.
No, I agree. Yeah.
So there's no guarantee that they would have had future success. But yeah, that CD was.
It would have been nice to see some swings taken because I think just lyrically he was so good at telling stories with just. So I think I would have loved to see, even if they failed, kind of like, man, because you brought up a good point, like Snoop Dogg, a lot of Snoop. There's so many Snoop Dogg songs that probably we have, don't really ever. Will maybe listen to it once and we'll never listen to again, but every now and then he'll have like a good song or whatever. But no, yeah, you're right.
They did a collab. Last year or something like that, where it's like the Eminem and Snoop makeup song or whatever. Like they put that was really good. So yeah, that is kind of true. Across the Alan was the big Tupac fan, and I was the Biggie fan.
For real?
Yeah, he was a huge Tupac fan, probably the biggest one.
Yeah, I love Tupac too, but I just resonated with Biggie more, even through that whole East Coast West Coast stuff. It was just like. I mean, I listened to both and I love both, memorized both of their songs and stuff. So
if I look back, I have a weird thing with music, especially rap too. Like I'll memorize all these things, but I won't even know what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's like the musicality of it and like the cadence of Biggie's rhymes and all that really resonated more. I didn't realize how bad this was until we started doing this karaoke, because I would pick songs that I like singing and then I wouldn't pay attention to what they were. Like the next song, Too Close, I'm singing it and like Tanya's like, "You nasty for singing this song." I'm like, "What do you mean, Tanya? It's just a song. We grew up singing this song. Like, this song's about boners. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I had no idea. And I remember singing like another Babyface song, just some random track on the CD that most people wouldn't know because you'd have to listen the whole time. But it's kind of a sad song. And then like we had to stop singing it halfway through. They made me stop singing it because it's about this girl is getting abused and beat up and stuff like that, and like how bad that was. And I'm sitting there singing and not knowing that's what I'm singing. I'm
right there with you. Half those songs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking of like how it sounds, and that's why words are powerful, right? Because like if you just don't pay attention to them, then it actually, it changes the value. Because we're taking the musical, non-verbal parts of the song that we enjoy. And then the people are like, "Hey, this song is about, killing people and the worst tragedies of the world. Why are you singing this song?" I'm like, "Oh, I didn't realize that's what, it's got a great beat."
Yeah, it sounds good, man.
Exactly.
One thing that on the podcast that not enough people have brought up. It's like my formative years. Obviously, the Boys to Men 2 soundtrack, probably one of the biggest ones, just because that's
Banger. Yes. Best R&B album, I think.
easily. And they played like Water Run Dry on the radio, like that 7-time loop or whatever. I think almost everybody remembers. Cube played it. Like they kept playing it back to back one day. But I listened to the Bad Boy soundtrack a lot. I don't know if you remember that. That was I had a like
Yes.
they had a
Yes.
lot of good songs from there.
Yes. Adina Howard is on
Yeah.
that. Yes. Oh, yeah. Trust me. That was another. I mean, did you have a big CD collection? Because that was a CD I had.
I had like that BMG starter pack thing. You know, you get like 10 CDs for a penny or whatever. So
Yeah.
those were like I had the mail-in thing. I hope my mom never listens to this, and you know, I'd hold on to a little bit of lunch money, and that's how I'd pay for some of those CDs and got that music. So yeah, I had some. It wasn't an immense collection. So when people were listening to like Bone Thugs or something, like that was a little bit too far off, and like I didn't have enough money to go get that. Especially, I think that was junior high when people listened to that. So my collection wasn't huge, but what I did have, I listened to like the whole album. So I'm still kind of like that. If I'm going to listen to an artist, I'll listen to them all the way. I'll listen to all their music and kind of form an opinion that way. Like nowadays, like I'll listen to The Weeknd, but I'll listen to all of The Weeknd songs. If you're still in the R&B mode or whatever, like you should listen to his not radio stuff. You'd be surprised. Like it's a good listen. It touches on that same kind of stuff. So because I'm listening to the lyrics and I pay attention to more of the lyrics. Like Corey was on here saying, hey, he still listens to Regulators. I loved Regulators growing up, but the lyrics are so weak that I cannot not listen to it anymore. It's just like, I don't know what it is about it. Just like listen to the rhyme schemes and just like you put that out there, but then I listen to like Joyner or something like that, or JID or Logic. Like I can't listen to the same thing, man.
Yeah, that was my favorite song in 8th grade. And so it's very nursery rhyme, basically, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very weak rhymes, like
Yeah.
single syllable, you know, car bar kind of rhymes. Like
Yeah.
I can't put that anymore.
But like lyrically by itself, it's probably, it's very nursery, like very simple, right? But man, everything put together, Nate Dogg, Warren G, and then the time period, it was, to me, it was like it hit everything. It's crazy how many times that 8th grade year I probably played that song. It was definitely like my favorite song the whole year. But it's so funny as you get older, like you're not thinking that during that time period where you're thinking, hey, these lyrics are very simple. It's like,
No,
it's like they flow. And then that's why it's so funny how, yeah, man, like people evolve and like tastes evolve and like friends evolve.
I guess the other ask about like karaoke. Michael Jackson's always a go-to. Like you get a good upbeat Michael Jackson song, you know, especially like Tanitra's there, Tanya's there, anybody that's there. Like you get people up moving with the high energy Michael Jackson song. That's the way to do it. Those are my go-tos. Nowadays, I might sing some Lady Gaga.
Those songs are too high for you? Those Michael Jacksons?
I love singing falsetto. Even if I I love doing that. My falsetto used to be much better, like, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But no, I like singing, man. I love singing. I love singing.
That's that Korean in you, huh?
Yeah, I don't even have to be drunk, man. So it works.
Yeah. Do you like so we do karaoke's in like rooms. Do you care if it's like out in like, where you're in front of the whole bar, or do you like those private rooms better?
No, I like it intimate. When we did it, we would do it at my place. Like
Yeah, I love the intimate too. I love private rooms. Those are and you can just hog the mic and then you don't have to sit there and wait. If nobody's wanting to sing, I'll sing 3-4 songs in a row. You better come grab this before I go off into like my whole Boys to Men.
You should have done it more with us, man. We would have loved to have.
Maybe, I mean, hey, I'm not dead yet. Put that on the docket, things to do when I come back to the area. Or if we go to New York to visit Sinitra or something like that. Or, like I have all these things that I want to definitely do. So we're putting this on the internet. It's like, okay, let's do these things and like lock them down. I think that's another thing. Like, hopefully people are like texting each other and like, just saying hi to people that maybe you haven't seen. Like, man, selfishly, I've been hearing from everybody. I love it. So it's like so many people have hit me up and it's like, I love it, and, whether it's like feedback or, whatever it is, I've heard from so many people. So
I'm happy that you're doing this, man. You're connecting people. Like I said, our group chat used to be bumping. Like we were in there connecting all the days.
Yeah.
And then we all started popping out kids and it's hard to keep all that going. So
for sure. No, it's all good.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you, for coming on, so.
Yeah, man.
I love how you kind of took control of this interview. I know we're kind of coming up on a clock here. Any last things that you want to share?
Thing is, like, I would love to see a large cross section of people that you talk to and talk about their high school experience or Spanaway experience. Because while you talk to a lot of people, I'd love to hear like random people and just see how the world looked from their eyes.
Hey, I love it.
Let's get that network effect. Let's get more people talking. I'd love to hear it.
That's the hope, because I have a couple others that don't do social media, but they're willing to come on the podcast. And I'm just like, man, thankful for that. So real quick, any regrets that you have, anything that you would say to yourself, from that maybe you would change, that you would warn yourself about or tell yourself about?
So I think an easy answer would be, okay, here's some way to make more money back in the day. But as I gotten older, like money isn't really not as important, right? It's important up to a certain threshold. It's not like I would get any happier if I had more money. In some ways, I'd probably be less happy. But there was like those early college years were pretty tough. Like that first year of college, end of high school was pretty tough change for me. I had a girlfriend back home and away from my support system. You guys are all partying it up, probably in the same dorm. I went to UW too, but like my support system was gone. I was just not in a good place. And like I trashed some friendships that I really shouldn't have trashed. Like in retrospect, that I've apologized for, but a lot of bad things that have happened or tough things that have happened, I've learned from them, like grown from them. Like out of my divorce, a long way to look at that is that I have kids now because I went through that divorce. And it's easy to draw that line. So I don't even regret that. But I do regret, I had a good friend, Melissa and Brian. I both had like blowups over nothing. And I wish those didn't happen. And, I love those guys. To this day, they have a very special place in my heart. And I wish I hadn't hurt them in that place. But that's probably the biggest regrets I have. Nothing too crazy. I've done my mea culpas there and, just done what I can to let them know I still love them. But that's probably it. I just don't want to hurt people. Probably the only biggest regrets I have.
Feel that, man. That's man. Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for interviewing me and just coming on the podcast as the executive producer. This has been fun, just catching up with you, Ralph. So thank you for coming on, and everybody else, we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.